one of our favorite guests. He's here kindly to provide the insider information of the Honda Insider Report on the Rich Eisen Show. He is our friend, Pro Football Hall of Famer Tony Dungy from NBC Sports Football Night in America and more. How are you, Coach?
Hey, Rich. Doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. So what do you think's going through Anthony Lynn's mind? His quarterback, who has Hall of Fame credentials, is going to turn 38 in a couple of weeks. You're now 4-7 going into a bye week, and your quarterback just threw his 14th interception of the year. What do you think's going on with Anthony Lynn and his quarterback right now?
No, he is wondering if it's getting close to the time to turn the page. They've had all these one-score losses, and they'll look at the whole first part of the season over the bye week and say, you know what, a play here, if we'd made this play, if we'd kicked this field goal, we'd be right in the playoff hunt. So do I ride it out with Phillips, see if we can get on the streak? You're probably not going to make the playoffs now. What does next year look like? Those are all the things that are going through your mind at this point. And I tell you what, he's got to be getting close to making that decision.
Like this year, turning to Rod Taylor and see what he's got on the bench?
I don't think so. I think they'll ride out the rest of the year with Philip, and they owe that to him, you know. But in Anthony Lynn's mind, he's thinking, all right, 2020, are we going to have a new quarterback? And if so, what is this offense going to look like? How are we going to build it? I know they had high hopes going, and I had high hopes for them. I thought they were going to be one of the top 5 teams in the league. And all of these one-score losses, you know, it takes the heart out of you.
Tony Dungy here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, I mean, do you have a conversation with Phillip? And I mean, how do you tell a guy who's been there, done that, does know football inside and out, knows he can't do what he's doing? How do you communicate with him after something like that?
I think you just come out of this bye and you say, we're going to try to win every game here in December, and we're going to let it all go and see what happens. And then at the end of the year, we're going to make some decisions. And you got to show us. I know you want to be back next year. You want to be here. This is your team, and hopefully it will remain that. But we've got to do that in these last five games.
Tony Dungy here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so your best team through 11 weeks, you've seen a lot, would be which team? Either conference.
I've changed week in and week out. 2 weeks ago, I thought it was the Saints. I just thought their defense was playing at a high level. Breeze was back. They were going to get Kamara and Cook back, and I just thought they were the team. And Atlanta went into New Orleans and really took them apart and dismantled that off the front. And I said, wow, that was shocking to me. And then Baltimore, every week, they just seemed to get a little bit better. I was worried about their defense, but they played better. Right now, over the last 3 weeks, no one's playing better than Baltimore.
So if you had to win a game right now, that you had to say, I'm going to take this team to win this weekend, it would be Baltimore.
I would take Baltimore right now as we speak. I think they're playing the most complete. Their offense is really a handful for people to absorb in 1 week, and they put a lot of pressure on people. And defensively, they're making enough plays and putting enough pressure on with their front. I would take them in a one-game knockout right now.
And then the NFC team that you'd put up against them would be who? Who's best suited?
Wow. I think we'll find out Sunday night. I don't want to hype our game.
No,
but
go for it.
San Francisco, Green Bay. I'm not crazy about Green Bay's defense, but Aaron Rodgers seems to have a running game going with him now, and that has made him into a better player. They've got pass rushers, so when they do put up points and they get ahead, they can really shut the door on you. But the problem, I think Green Bay is going to have a team like San Francisco that could run the ball at them and use that time of possession. They can. I think Green Bay can be had if you got a strong running game.
I mean, isn't it amazing that in this day and age, again, of spread them out, 5 wide, who needs a fullback, right? That 2 teams that are performing so well are running the ball down your throat in Baltimore and San Francisco. Do you think we are maybe witnessing finally a stemming of the tide of just winging it all over the lot, Tony?
Well, I think it's 2 teams that really understand what football is all about now, and everybody is coming up with these situational defenders and situational pass rushers and defending the spread and 5 wide, that if you come with a powerful running attack, it is so different than what people have had to deal with. It catches a lot of people totally off guard, and people aren't ready for it. Green Bay is really, they went out and got the two Smiths, and they said, hey, we're going to be able to rush the passer, and they can do that. And Chicago, had that great pass rush. But now when they're playing close games and people are running the ball at them like the Rams did the other night, it's different, and I don't think people are ready to handle that.
Tony Dungy, Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show and the Honda Insider Report. Your MVP through 11 weeks would be who?
It's one of those quarterbacks, and I kind of change every week. Right now, I'd have to say Lamar Jackson. No one had Baltimore as the best team in the league week one. No one thought that, and Lamar has been the difference. They've got a coach who's really done a great job, I think, of molding to his talents. But he's been the difference week in and week out. And when he was out in Seattle and they beat the Seahawks in a tough venue, he was the difference maker. So I'd have to say right now, if I was voting, that's who I would vote for.
It really is amazing. I mean, what he has done is truly remarkable. And we're still yet many wondering if it is sustainable. January comes. How will it be different from last year with what the Chargers did to that offense in their house in the playoffs, Tony?
Well, Lamar is more mature, and he understands, and they've also had a year more with him and fine-tuning this offense and coming up with answers for things like what the Chargers did last year. But it's still too early to see if it is sustainable. We can go back a few years, and we were all gushing about Robert Griffin this time, his rookie year. And, gosh, what is the league going to do to handle him and rein him in? And I was thinking about, as a defensive coordinator, what can you play? This is a guy who can run 75 yards if you play man coverage and all of these things. And, those quarterbacks, if you're going to run that much, you're still going to get hit. And what kind of toll is that going to take? But I think the difference between Robert Griffin's situation and Lamar Jackson, Baltimore has embraced this. Mike Shanahan still had his system, and he still wanted to run that. Ozzie Newsome told the Ravens, hey, when we draft this guy, we have to sell out. We've got to get these type of linemen. We've got to get these type of running backs. We've got to get big, strong receivers who can block. And more than that, we've got to get receivers who aren't going to complain if they only catch 30 passes the whole year, because it's going to be tailored to the tight ends and the RPOs and that. So everybody has bought into this. They have put all of these college running plays in, and it's a handful on the NFL. Now, Lamar's got to stay healthy, and he's so far he has done it. He shows no signs of wearing down, but I said that about Robert Griffin his first year too.
Tony, you were there on the set Sunday night on NBC, and we all saw Mitchell Trubisky struggle again for the Bears, with the exception of a 12-play, 80-yard drive to start the second half, supposedly after he had hurt his hip, and it just only supposedly got worse. And the reason why I keep hammering that word supposedly is he didn't finish the game, and we were all wondering if Matt Nagy had actually pulled his quarterback. We're now being told by the Bears that it was injury-related, and that if he is healthy, he is the starter. How do you feel the situation with Nagy and Trubisky is going to wind up in Chicago?
I think they believe in Mitch Trubisky. I think the city is against him right now. I think he still has the backing of his team, his teammates, the front office. So I think he's going to be okay to continue to move forward. We were watching the game in the studio, and when Al Michaels said, we get word from the Bears PR that they don't know what happened, no report. To me, that was a mistake. If that was truly being pulled from injury, knowing the situation, if I was Matt Nagy, I would have told our PR department, he's injured, hip injury, that's why he's out. Get that out to the newspaper, to the booth, because I don't want any speculation that they're taking him out because of performance. You got to know, that's not what you normally do. But in this situation, you got to nip all that in the bud, and you've got to say, we still have confidence in our quarterback.
Now, is that something that happens on the sideline? You're a coach. You're in the middle of a game. Obviously, you just gave up a touchdown the put you down by 2 scores, which is a monumental gap for you to try and bridge because of how poor your offense is going, and then somebody comes up to you and says to you, why is Trubisky out, and you have to deal with a member of the PR staff during a game? Is that what happens?
If you're a first-year coach or a second-year coach, maybe you're not thinking that way. You're trying to figure out how you're going to score twice and get back in this game. But if you have been in this at all, and if you've been in the Chicago media market especially, and the way the season has gone for Mitch, you have to think about that. And you can't say, I'll deal with this later, I'll deal with this on Monday, because that's what we're all thinking. We're watching the game and saying, why is he taking Mitch Trubisky out now? And you do have to get ahead of the game in certain situations.
Tony Dungy here on the Rich Eisen Show. In the few minutes I have left with you, have you had any communication at all with Colin Kaepernick, Tony Dungy?
I have not. I think our station, we tried to reach out to Colin when we were going on our pregame show on Sunday, and we had some people that talked to his representatives and his agent, but we have not had any contact with him. And I think that's what everybody's waiting to hear. Let us hear your voice, Colin. Let's be able to ask you some questions and have you give us some answers. And that would be nice. It really would.
Well, I mean, I think it just appears, because, again, I have no communication with his team either, but it does appear that Kaepernick's stance, if you will, is that I am who I am. The fact that I have the quarterback skills to be in the NFL is enough to give me a job, and I'm going to be who I am, and that should be fine for you. I don't need to conform to the NFL, that my credentials as a quarterback, having been in the Super Bowl before, and my credentials, what I can do with my arm and my legs right now, is so far superior to some of the people that are getting a shot, it shouldn't matter. So why does he have to say something or communicate something to make it seem like he would conform to the NFL, is basically what I'm asking.
Yeah, and I understand his point of view. I think all of what you just said is absolutely true. But I know if I'm a head coach and I'm trying to sign a player, anybody, I'm going to get those questions answered. Are you going to fit into my locker room and how I do things? And whether it's Colin Kaepernick or anybody else. So if I don't get those questions answered, I'm not going to sign anyone. Normally, that's not even an issue. Guys want to play, and if we have a workout and I want to bring you in, hey, I need to talk to you, most guys are ready to go. And I can see Colin's point, well, how do I know that this is real? How do I know you really want to talk to me? You don't. You just have to trust me.
So do you think this is a bridge that can be divided, Tony? And you're kind of a perfect person to ask this, because if I recall correctly, you counseled Michael Vick when he was at Leavenworth. And Michael Vick was in jail. And Michael Vick was
ostracized.
Exactly. and you were there to help bridge a divide that now has Michael Vick on TV. Michael Vick is a correspondent for my show, NFL The Grind. He's been on this show. If that could be somehow a divided bridge put together after what Vick was in jail for, do you think this could be put together between Kaepernick and the NFL for an NFL team to have him out there, Tony?
I think it could happen. I'm skeptical that it would happen. In Michael's situation, Michael knew that he did something wrong, and he had to make amends, and he told everyone that he was ready to do anything that it took to make amends. Colin doesn't feel he's done anything wrong, so I don't think it's just what you're talking about. Why do I have to go the extra mile? I should just be able to demonstrate my skills, and that should be enough. So that's where I think the difference is, and that's why I think it's going to be dicey to ever get this resolved.
Yeah, I hear you, because, again, Colin hasn't been convicted of anything. He hasn't committed any crime. He's just been very outspoken, and it just is something that my last for you on this subject is what advice would you give him if you did have some sort of moment to sit down with him?
I would just say that, don't change your convictions. You don't have to change anything, but you are going to have to show people that, hey, I really want to play in this league, and I'm willing to do my part as a player and a teammate, and I'm willing to accept. And that's what I don't know. Are you willing to accept any role at this point that, hey, you may not compete for a starting quarterback situation? And that's what Michael did. Andy Reid brought him in. He was the backup to Donovan McNabb. There were no promises, no, hey, you're going to compete for the starting job in so many months. We're signing you. We're giving you an opportunity. He said thank you, and he took it. So that's, what Colin is going to have to let people know that he's ready to do. And then will it still work? We don't know, because there are a number of teams that would just say, no, I don't want the headache. I'm not going to sign him. Let someone else do that. But it was the same in Michael's case. He probably had 20 teams that were not interested, but all it takes is one.
Tony, I really appreciate the time. Sorry about your Golden Gophers finally losing the game.
I know we're on our way. I'm thinking Big Ten championship, but it's been a great year. It's been a great year so far.
And I assume you have had communication with PJ Fleck, right? And have you connected?
I haven't talked to him during the season, but I've been watching and sending my best and kind of trying to stay positive and row the boat with those guys.
Row the boat. That's right. Tony, thanks again for everything. I always appreciate our chats, and I'd love to have you on certainly before the end of the season.
We'll do it, Rich.
Right back at you. Thank you. That's Tony Dungy, at Tony Dungy on Twitter.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.